Suze Orman actually said this? I'm stunned. I'm stunned. I read this article thinking, oh, here we go, another Suze Orman craziness. This is actually far from it. I can't believe it. And so here's old Suze Q Orman. I don't know if that's, I have no clue if that's what she still looks like. Dude, I am not a fan of Suze Orman. Some chick did a video I saw like 5-10 years ago on Suze. It's pretty creepy, actually. It's pretty creepy. I can't remember what the video was, but it was like, damn, that's not a good look. Anyway, look at her pearly whites. Compare those pearly whites to mine. Look at those pearly whites. Look at those pearly whites. All right. So let's read this right here. Arizona pair in their 50s aim to retire at 62. But Suze Orman tells them they're reading their numbers wrong. And I was like, holy crap, Suze, what are we going to talk about here? And here's a couple right here. Let's see right here. We got Linda from Arizona. Her and her husband, Tom. Linda's 55. Tom is 57. They want to know if they're on track to retire comfortably, especially given their travel-heavy lifestyle. When Suze asked to grade herself on her retirement readiness, Linda said C+. But Suze strongly disagreed. That's where I started saying, what? Suze, what, you going to think they're failures here? Because Linda's only giving her a C+. Like, okay. Let's see. They got $570,000 retirement savings, $60,000 emergency fund, $41,000 investments, and $186,000 in home equity. Their home was paid off. They do carry $21,000 in debt, so they have a net worth of $833,000. They bring in about $10,000 a month after taxes. Their monthly expenses are $6,000 a month after taxes, or monthly expenses are $6,000 a month, so they're saving $1,709 a month, which leaves them $3,000 a month in discretionary income. And with 7 more working years for Linda and Tom, and for Linda and 5 for Tom, they still have time to save more. So just remember, monthly expenses are $6,000, basically $6,100 a month right now between their 55 and 57. Orman estimates their expenses will remain about $6,000 a month after taxes. Okay, maybe. Let's go with it. $6,000 a month seems a little bit on the high end, but we'll just go with that, especially after taxes. So we'll say $6,000 a month. Okay. Once Linda retires, she'll receive a pension of $2,600 a month. The retirement investments are projected to give $3,500 a month after taxes, and so they'll have roughly $2,000 more than they'll need. And that doesn't include Social Security. So there you go. So Suze is actually starting off the right point. What's your expenses? We're going to project for retirement. How do you meet those expenses? Do you have the income, regardless if you have the pension? Let's get rid of the pension. Let me bust out my trusty calculator. All right, so they got about $600,000 in investments right now, and we're just going to use that for nothing else. We're just going to say $600,000. We're going to have that grow at 5% a year. And they're contributing $1,700 a month. Is that what? Yeah, $1,700 a month. All right. So if my calculations are right, they'll have about roughly $950,000. They got $600,000 now. They're putting in about $20,000 a year for the next 6 years, all right, because they're retired 62. And then they'll have at 5% a year interest rate, they'll have $946,000. For simplicity, we'll just round up and say $1 million. All right. So they need $6,000 a month, is what Suze Q is saying. All right. So $6,000 a month. That means that's $72,000 a year. All right. So we have $1 million. We're taking $72,000 a year. That's a 7.2% distribution amount, right? So assuming they make no more money until their Social Security kicks in, we're going to have them taking Social Security at their full retirement age. Do we see what their Social Security amount is? Yeah, right here. Okay, cool, I think. Their retirement investments, no. We want to see what their Social, I don't say what their Social Security is. 1 second. For simplicity, I'm just going to say they're going to have $4,000 a month in Social Security. All right, so we're going to say, check this out. All right, so again, they got $1 million at 62. All right, $1 million. We're going to say $4,000 a month of Social Security when they're 67. They're spending $6,000 a month, so they're going to be spending $72,000 a year. We're not going to inflate anything. No rate of return, no inflation on expenses, nothing. No Social Security COLAs or anything. So we know when they hit 67, they're going to get $4,000 a month in Social, of which they need $6,000 a month for expenses. So they need $2,000 a month from their portfolio. We're going to assume that they're going to spend $72,000 a year from 62 to 67, but we're going to use 6 years because one of them is 55, one of them is 57. So basically between them is 6 years. All right. So if we take 72,000 times that by 6, that's $432,000. Subtract that by the million that they got. Remember, we're not inflating this, not giving them any rate of return or anything. So they'll have $568,000 left. That's what they'll have, $568,000. They need $2,000 a month from that $568,000. So we take 24 divided by $568,000, and that's a hold a second, 24,000 divided by $568,000 right there. That's a 4.2% distribution amount. They're fine without even getting a pension, without getting any rate of return, nothing. They're fine. Now, that's if they work until they're 62. I think they say, she said in here that they like what they do. Let's take a look. I actually didn't see it in there. But anyway, at the end of the day, I'm not giving them any more. I'm just basically saying they work until 62. Initially, Linda said they might have to work part-time. You're just not going to have to worry. I mean, we could even crunch the numbers if they can retire now. I'm not going to do that here because I don't know the full story, what their Social Security is and everything. But if they work and they're able to put $1,700 a month into a portfolio for each month and they get 5% a year for the next 6 years, they'll have $1 million. $1 million, they take $72,000 a year without any inflation, without any interest rate increase. And again, this hurts them because inflation is lower than the rate of return on your portfolio. They'll have $568,000 when they're taking Social Security. Of that $568,000, they need $2,000 a month or $24,000 a year to offset or to complement this $4,000 a month they're getting from Social Security. Frank, I bet they get more than that. Anyway, at the end of the day, that's fine. That's easily doable. Now, Suze says, you should buy long-term care. Suze loves her long-term care thing. It's crazy to me. I'm like, yeah, if you want to give it a shot, by all means do so. I don't think you need to, but, if you want to pay for, I have no idea what a long-term care policy is nowadays, but I'm not going to tell you don't do that. I'm just going to say, is it something that's the most important thing? Apparently, Suze Orman thinks it is. I think it's because she's got her mom like a Taj Mahal long-term care facility. I don't know, but I don't think that's a critical thing. I just don't. And, if you disagree, that's fine. Go get a long-term care quote. I got no qualm with that. But, yeah. So, an agreement with Suze Orman. These guys are in good financial shape. And, again, it all comes back to we know our expenses. And we have no debt. Shocking. My shocked face. I agree with Suze Orman. I can't believe it. All right, God bless. Smash.